The real Monday night game, the Bills versus the Niners, because this game will be played in Arizona. Not really sure why, but the line opened up Bills -2.5. It was 3 for a while, and then it fell back down to 2.5. So who do you like here?
I like the 49ers here. I think they're a good team that's been put down by bad circumstances. Like, I thought that they were going to have a Super Bowl hangover at the beginning of the year. That turned out to be somewhat true, but then they suffered so many injuries. Like, they lost so many players on defense and offense, and then they got a bunch of them back last week, and then suddenly they beat the Rams. And that's not a coincidence. Richard Sherman was huge for them. Deebo Samuel had a massive game. And Raheem Mostert was just significantly better in the running game than Jerick McKinnon was. And Jeff Wilson Jr. was back too. So they had a bunch of guys come back last week. Trent Williams too. Can't forget him. This week, Brandon Ayuk is already going to be coming back. And him with the ball in his hands, Deebo with the ball in his hands. Both of those guys make a ton of big plays. So I like how they match up with this Bills defense, which is, pretty good in the secondary, but has struggled against tight ends. So Jordan Reed will be able to take advantage of that. And then you have Ayuk and Samuel, who, Tre'Davious White's probably going to be on Samuel, but you can just get the ball to Samuel in so many ways that he will make an impact. So I think that's going to be huge for the San Francisco offense. And then defensively, now that they're healthy and that Richard Sherman's back, that secondary looks a lot stronger. The Bills are playing without John Brown, and Josh Allen has had some trouble this year without Josh Brown. Not Josh Brown, John Brown. Oh my God. I thought I was going to make it through this episode without, calling someone by the wrong name, but we didn't do it this time, guys. Sorry.
Well, it's the old kicker for the Seahawks.
Oh yeah, that's who I'm thinking of. That was the one. Yeah, that's who popped into my head. But yeah. Anyway, I think Josh Allen's going to have a little bit of trouble throwing on this defense, and the run game's not going to be there at all. They took advantage last week of a bad Chargers defensive line, or not a bad defensive line, a bad run defense, I should say. But I think the 49ers are going to be ready for that. So I don't see Buffalo moving the ball that much. I think the 49ers are probably, even not at home, closer to even with the Bills. So I like them as the underdog here. So I'll be on them with a couple units, even if they're playing in Arizona for the next few weeks.
Yeah, I wonder if that the whole Arizona thing might serve as a distraction. Like I've noticed over the years, the teams that have had to move from the home games to somewhere else, they've not done poorly. Like the Bears in I think it was 2002 when they had to play in Champaign, or the Saints in 2005 when they had to play in San Antonio, or the Chargers. I forget what year it was, but they had to move from San Diego to I believe it was Arizona because of the wildfires. Like all these teams that did not do well, and I think that might affect the Niners. Like it's not like a natural disaster, or well maybe it is, but like it's not really. It came out of the blue or anything. Like I feel like they may have been prepared for it. Like the NFL really was too. The NFL actually made sure they didn't schedule Cardinal and 49er home games on the same day, which is like kind of like incredible foresight on their part. I don't know how they figured that out, but I think that still it might serve as a distraction because they might have to move their families or something like that, or they're going to have to commute, which is kind of like it's going to be a little tedious for them. But the big thing for me here is that I think that the 49ers are getting too much credit for winning last week. Like I know that they got Richard Sherman back and Deebo and Mostert and Trent Williams. Like they're definitely a lot better than they were against the Packers in that Thursday night game a few weeks ago. But beating the Rams shouldn't be that impressive. Like the Rams aren't that good. And I think that win is giving them too much credit, and it's moved the line too much. Like the advanced spread on this game was Bills -2.5, and it's still 2.5. But that's kind of that's a mirage, right? Because that original -2.5 was taking into account with San Francisco being played in San Francisco, not on a neutral site. So it would really be like 4.5 in San Francisco. I think the Bills should be favored by more than 2.5. I think they're a lot better than the Niners. The Niners still have injuries. Like they have two offensive linemen who are down, and I think the Bills should be able to win in the trenches. They still don't have their pass rush, so I think Josh Allen should do well. I know their corners are back, but I still think Allen should have some success. The Niners just lost their slot corner, their backup slot corner, who was playing for the start, or they're just starter. So I think Cole Beasley in the slot should do well. I just think the Bills should be able to win this game against the Niners team that, like, it is they're better, but I don't think they're as good as they looked against the Rams.
Yeah, I'm not putting as much stock into the game against the Rams as much as I am just them having them back. Like, the only one of those players that or I guess a couple of those players looked good. It's Debo and Richard Sherman were huge. And then Trent Williams just an upgrade over Justin School any day of the week. But like, Mostert didn't have a great game against the Rams. And I'm not trying to read too much into it, but I just think that the 49ers are going to have the motivation here. I am a little bit concerned now, though, about the moved game stats. I wasn't aware that the teams hadn't done well when moving, but it would make sense. I mean, you're away from your family more. It's like what we saw at times in the NBA bubble, where certain players would would have some trouble in various games because they were missing home or missing their families or something was going on. So I'll definitely rethink that at least. I think I'm still going to be on the 49ers. I still think that they're a little underrated, even though the line has moved. And I don't know. I just got a feeling about this one. I'm just going to stick with it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I agree that they're underrated. They're definitely a lot better than what they were, but I just think that the win over the Rams shouldn't really mean anything. Like, I don't know. They beat the Rams earlier too. Like, I feel like the Rams are a complete mirage.